Blended Podcasts. Brought to you by Blended Audio.
Welcome back to Sound Vibes. This is episode number 653,416. Hi, Patty.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
No, good.
Good.
You didn't even introduce yourself yet.
Nah. Do I even need to anymore?
Yeah, come do it now.
Okay, hi. I'm Nate.
And I'm Patty McD, and we've got our guest AD. Sorry, I'm just doing that because
Why?
it's cheesy.
Everybody,
Well,
Adrian Langeveld, welcome back.
The general thing is everyone just calls me AIDS.
Yeah. Oh,
That
Lord.
is, it's the nickname.
Oh, Lord.
So everyone's, you got AIDS? Yep, you got AIDS. Yeah, I'm here. So,
Did last night even end?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, clearly not.
Sure.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been good having your insights and experience shared with us these last couple of episodes. So yeah, and as we promised, we're gonna milk you for every last drop we can get.
I'm lactating in preparation.
Guys, please, can we keep this PG, please?
Yeah.
It is, it's basic biology. Come now.
Lactation.
So we're back this week to discuss drumming. However, this time we are taking it to the studio.
We are in
wanna know-
studio. You're a studio.
The drumming studio, man.
Drums.
The MacBook.
Yeah.
The drums versus the MacBook.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
the name of
yeah.
the episode?
Well, pretty much.
The mic versus the MacBook is basically what it is.
Mike versus the MacBook.
Yeah.
That's a really. Please remember that. I'll forget. Thanks, Alex.
Don't worry, we've recorded it.
Modern technology, Nate. Let me tell you, it's the future.
So sorry.
Well, I think
I
with
thought this was an analog episode.
well, that sets the topic beautifully. We want to talk about in the recording context. Actual drumming, like, playing on an acoustic kit and recording that versus potentially programming. But we know there's some middle grounds too, like an electronic kit.
There
You've
is
already talked
indeed.
about the e-kit and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think let's start with the sort of basics. Like, a lot of people are saying, do we perform the drums physically or do we program them? Why would people be considering one or the other in the first place?
Again,
I mean, you don't come and program guitars.
no, you don't. But
But if you could. I'm sorry. That's another episode.
look, people probably would. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But again, it's a situation of your band situation, your environment, your access to facilities, what you want to achieve. These again. It sounds like it's corporate mumbo jumbo. CRM waffle, but it really is.
CRM waffle.
It is something you got to look at and go, okay, cool. I am trying to make this music or this song or whatever, and you go, okay, right, do I have a budget? What is my budget? Now, can I go and afford to go pay 8,000 to 10,000 rand per day to go and record this thing? Okay, and am I going to get the sound that I want? You got to obviously have your vision for exactly what you want it to sound like. That takes time, and that takes budgetary, budgets into account.
Yeah.
And if we're talking sort of, again, my point of reference obviously is a metal thing. It may be different for others, but there isn't a lot of money to go around. And this is generally people's own finances that they're sinking into this stuff. And in order to, you're not going to get the Black Album. That's 10 months that Metallica spent in there to get that analog sound.
Yeah.
That's millions of dollars, and
Yeah.
a lot of time people don't have. And now, with technology, we have the ability to get a bit of a better result at a significantly reduced cost.
Yeah.
And the other portion of that is you'll get the purists like, well, you need to go in and play it properly like a real musician. It's like, yes, that's great, but I need to work within my means. If I know that my drummer's cool with this, but I know he won't be able to pull that off in a studio.
Yeah.
You have the option of kind of doing the digital thing and, adjusting things slightly to make it get the result that you want. It's obviously, I do not condone going in unprepared, not knowing what you're doing. I mean, if you're going to do that and you're going to go the significant expense of spending the time and the money and everything else, and after you do all that, you come up with a garbage result, you're not going to be happy, and that'll reflect in your product. So what you need to do is, if you are going to go that route, and you're spending that money, is to be sure that your drum is ready, that you have everything mapped out, that you can play to the click, that you can handle whatever needs to be thrown at you from a producer's point. If you have the budget, go for it. I'd love to. The reality is, in our particular scene situation, we do not have infinite money. It costs a lot of money, and those are things like record labels give advances and things for that. You got to recoup that. You got to claim that back.
Yeah.
We don't have that luxury. So the alternative is to program everything. Now with technology, we've gotten amazing recordings of thousands of kits and cymbals in all different kinds of environments, which, TuneTrack, Superior, all these companies that produce music software have done all the work for you. And now it's just up to you to then take that and find the best combination for yourself.
When you say they've done the work for you, you mean in terms of actually going and physically setting up the acoustic instruments, recording them?
The drum kit that Van Halen used to record whatever, sampled all the sounds in a great room with decent mics and everything, and now that becomes as part of your pack. And now you've got those samples which you can then use on your album.
So it's a portion of the work.
Yes.
A significant portion.
Yes, because you're getting the
costly
sound.
portion.
The costly portion.
Because now if you had to do that yourself, that is a crazy expense. And now that's just, let's say, that's just the drums. If you're paying, 10,000 Rand a day to use a studio, nobody's got that kind of money. And you'll never see that cost recouped.
I mean, like the golden age of the music industry is over. Like I think in the probably the 80s and early 90s, like they would splurge like multi-million dollar budgets at one artist going in and recording.
Well, that's why guys built their own studios. They take the advances, build their own studios so that they could then record their stuff at home, so that now you don't have to worry about spending your advance and just getting your product. It makes a lot of I saw a new ad for Periphery Get Good. The Nolly's thing.
Yeah.
So there's a great ad the other day I saw, and like all the Periphery guys, Matt wakes up on the bus and he's like hungover, and then the one tech comes in and goes, "Hey Matt, how's it going?" He's like, "Well, where is everybody?" "Yeah, they're at soundcheck." And he's like, "What?" So he goes inside, and then inside all of Periphery sound checking, and his drums are all set up lekker. And then he's like, "What's going on here?" And there's a laptop sitting on his drum floor with the Get Good drum sound. Go check the ad. It's like a great ad, but it's like it sounds just like whatever, and it's obviously because he's involved with those things.
Yeah.
And it sounds just like a Periphery album. He's like, "Sorry, Matt, we don't need you anymore. Bye." And that's literally what it is now.
Yeah.
But obviously he can play those drums.
Yeah.
So program it, and be able to play it, be able to put it off live. This is where my thing comes in, is like, I don't mind you programming your drums, because in the situation and the means you have, it's a necessity. It's a time saver. It's for every, there's so many different reasons why it's a good thing.
It's efficient.
But you must be able to do it justice. So if you're going to play that live, you need to be able to pull it off. Don't do something that's completely out of your comfort zone or ability, because then you're not presenting an authentic experience or product of what you're able to do.
So there's actually like I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to do that kind of thing, but but there was a local band that I was following who wrote an album at a fantastic BPM, and then they found that when they had to perform live, it just couldn't be. So they had to release their drummer that they wrote the album with, and sort of recruit up, so to speak, like someone who had more ability, and even that guy couldn't. So they had to find the middle road, get the maximum speed that a drummer was capable of playing.
You got to involve your drummer so that you know
what is physically possible. And I think what they wrote after that was more in line with reality.
That's just it.
Yeah, but I mean that's trial and error right there.
Yeah.
Well, that means you're sitting together and still playing as a band. Because if you're sitting and doing stuff in isolation, you may not get that. So that
You're
means
gonna write
you're
what-
working together as a unit to write. Stuff.
I strongly believe writing should be done and a lot of people disagree with me, but writing should be done in the jam room. Like that to me just feels the most organic. Like in that way, if you guys come up with something, you can take like a small sound recording of it, and then someone can go home and like tab it out and flesh it out, and then you can work on it from that. But the foundation and the basis of it, I feel it belongs in the jam room.
Yeah, granted, and there's many advantages to that. But again, you used a very key word not too long ago: efficiency.
Yes.
It is. It's a time saver.
Yeah.
It's less stressful. And if you think about it, I don't want to have the pressure of knowing that we've just forked out a whole bunch of money. And it's just not good enough, and you're disappointed, and now you've spent this money,
And you ain't
feeling
getting it
disappointed, and that can really drop your spirits down, where you don't want to perform the stuff or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
I think for some bands that actually ends them, because there's so many bands I know who got into the recording process, basically wrapped it up, but they just never released it and never showed their face again.
that happens.
This is not uncommon.
So this is a great way to get your stuff out there, and as long as you are not misrepresenting what you can do, you can get a great sound now with these samples. They sound amazing. I mean, they really, really do. And when you're programming, you have to obviously be conscious of that. I mustn't make this thing sound like a machine. If you're going to do that, there is the physical programming part, and then there is the other option of playing it in a digital environment. So
On the electric kit.
with the electric kit, for instance. So this is something that I do, where for the last 3 albums I'm on, I've used the e-kit. It's convenient. We could do it at night in somebody's house or whatever it is, and not have to bother at all, So I took a couple of weeks ago, I took a Monday and I went to go track the full day of tracking with our producer Heinrich for the new Infanteria album.
Shout out to Heinrich Kollner.
We're going to have him in here someday.
I will.
Whether he likes it or not, we're going to drag him in.
Drag his ass
Cape
out.
Town's Frederick Nordstrom is what he is. And he sat with me, and what we did in preparation for this, which was kind of very different to my previous Infanteria recording experience, which I'll kind of try and very quickly touch on all of it so you get an idea of the different things that I did. So I'll start with the first one, with the Serpents album. I came in quite late after Rob decided to go overseas and leave the band. And at that point, a lot of the stuff was kind of written, the ideas, but on the day I went in and we're like, you know what, I can actually play these drums because I've got the e-kit facility. Let's go to the studio and we can track this, And
So when you say it was already there, he had programmed.
We had guide things. So Chris
I
had
see.
like sort of guide drums like that he'd kind of written with Rob. It wasn't final. It was more just the
In like programmed
the demo.
format.
Yeah, the demo
I
sort of
see.
scratch stuff. And then I went in, and on the day of recording, I wasn't actually sold on what we were doing. This is bad, but I had very little plan of what was going on that particular day because it was so fresh and the stuff was so new, and I hadn't nailed everything down yet. And on the day, we were still coming up with ideas.
Talk about pressure.
Which it was, but the result was amazing because we were bouncing so many ideas, and Chris was, okay, try that. Okay, that's not cool. Okay, let's try this. Okay, that's not working. Okay, I like that. Let's do that. And so from an organic sort of idea perspective, it came out great. And I was able to do that over 2 or 3 days. So then we got stuff. I mean, there were songs in there that I was like, I hate this song. The song sucks. I don't like it. And then after kind of we put it all together, I'm like, actually, you know what? The ideas were cool and they came out great. So and the ability to do that means we could do whatever, try different things, and it's not like we wasted the time because, okay, cool, I've got these takes, they're digital. I don't have to worry about splicing stuff up. And worrying about. And I went in and I played. I didn't have to worry about now miking, setup time. That saves you so much time. Then recently what I did was, now how that works is, for those who don't know or interested, using the electronic kit, it sends a signal through and you use MIDI, which is not the actual audio wave of what is being captured. You're basically sending a signal to the computer going, okay, cool, this signal corresponds to this particular
Sample.
sample,
Yeah.
and then that's a cymbal sample, and that's a whatever sample. So that's how you get it. So it's captured in that way. So it allows you to do whatever you want and then assign any kind of sample afterwards.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about. You can do that and then go sculpt your tones afterwards.
Yeah. Which can be an exhaustive process just by itself.
It is. So this, and then the next time around I did a recording with Mark. So in this case, first Inventory, I did MIDI only. Now with Mark's album, I captured both. So I captured the actual audio of my drums, which I've got tweaked and set up, and it's layered along with like samples where it's needed, because he wanted like different sounds on different things. He said, well, I want this to sound like a Led Zeppelin sort of 70s feel, and then this I want to sound like a big sort of 90s hip hop sounding
So you dig through libraries until you find
so in that case it was very
complementary.
much more built for each song, because
Yeah.
his stuff is a bit more diverse in the genres that he sort of covers. Then for Infanteria's new album, when I recorded the beforehand, I had a heavy involvement with the writing process, so I knew exactly what was going on this time round, and everything I was ready to go. And well before, I had been sculpting drum tones with Heinrich to get an idea of what I wanted it to sound like and what Chris and I wanted to have. So we go, okay, right, I need the snare to do this, so we need to sculpt the tone for this. I want it roomy, I want it big, I don't want it to sound like Tupperware drums. I need it to sound like really, really big open room. And we had that in our favor already, going, okay, cool, I have an idea what the album's actually going to sound like already. I went in and I managed the full day of tracking. And obviously I ran to a click. And it's got my swing still. So it's not like now you can program and then quantize it and snap everything to the grid. But what you want is to, like I was saying in previous podcast, is to have that little deviation either side.
It feels more human.
So that it feels human and it's got the swing, and that it's not entirely, because again, I have a big thing about energy transfer. Energy, that it's with an audience, you know what it's like. I mean, for guys being on stage for years yourselves, you get that feed and that energy shifts and flows, and if it's constrained to a certain thing, it
kills it.
It kills that vibe. So
like putting too much compression on the
so
vocal.
you're still getting the and performance is what Heinrich and Chris were drilling me on. So it'd be like that can be a bit better. Okay, let's do it one more time. And I mean, eventually you get tired, so it's tough. But then you get like that was it, we got it, that's the one we wanted, and that energy is captured. So it's more about I need to have the drum. You can't get too stuck on having your sound. What you want is the performance. I mean, because something may sound not so great, but if you can feel the energy in the performance, that makes all the difference into really letting something resonate with you, So I get the best of both worlds, and I get to physically play the drums, and I get to have a decent sound, and it's all convenient. If I had the money, I'd love to go in and do it proper, but practical reasons, I don't.
But I think in today's, sense of things, to do it proper, what does it even mean anymore? You know what I mean? It's like, one wants to do it like if one has a more of a purist sort of mentality about it, then we'd say, we must do it like so and so and so and so and so.
You can't fall into that trap because
it's financial suicide.
It is. I mean,
because if you think about it,
I understand the guys who take such pride in their art. Like, you have to be able to do it in one take, and you must be able to do it with this. You know what? It's music. There's no rule. There shouldn't be rules to stuff, right?
But I've worked with these kind of guys, and I had in one particular instance, this guy wanted to spend a fortune on capturing his drum sound, him playing, mic'd up and all that jazz. But he had this real El Cheapo drum kit, which was just horrible. And it's why do you want to go and record beautifully a piece of crap? You know what I mean? It's it's not going to sound live. It's it's this thing sounds like bloody kookblokker. It sounds like you say a Tupperware thing, but it's you cannot polish a turd. So why?
You can roll it in glitter. That's about it.
Wow.
Imagine throwing that against the wall.
It's still going to smell like shit.
What's the thing Obama said? You can put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig.
Yes. So in terms of what is the proper way of doing things these days, like I think there's kind of like almost like a paradigm shift where it's like the proper way is the way that you get it done. I guess I'm going to say a word that some people might call a crime, like expediently.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And
It works, and often the results are better.
if you got to do what works for you, what works for your band situation, what works for your producer and for your listeners. That's really what you got to do, because that, you know what, the person listening to your album, that 14-year-old kid who's busy listening to this cracking song that's maybe helping them get through a bad time, doesn't care that you went and recorded your drums in Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah.
He cares about the fact that this song energy is speaking to him right now and putting him through something.
Yeah, if
So people
if it resonates with you.
People can't. You can't get too hung up on that stuff. The actual art created is what needs to be most important. You can't get too. I mean, you can't not put an emphasis on getting a good sounding product and everything else, but at the expense of everything else.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that.
And thus ends my sage wisdom.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I think it brings clarity. You know, like a lot of people like lose sleep over this kind of stuff because, you know, we've, as a musical collective, we've already invested so much in everything. But the drums is usually that huge obstacle, that huge hurdle. But I think that hurdle nowadays, it's more psychological. It's like once you can get to terms with the fact of the options available and that they're not a crime, then you can get on with doing the thing and be more than satisfied with the results.
Oh, very quickly before we wrap up, like another example, like, so now we're talking top end, God tier pro dudes.
Yeah.
Dirk Verbeuren, played for Soilwork, currently plays for Megadeth, Devin Townsend, the works. He plays on so many different albums for different people around the world, and guess what? He records in his home studio on his e-kit, files get sent off. That convenience, you can't ask for better. So you can go and hire him and know that you can get a great sounding thing coming out. You can do it on his side, or he can just give you the raw, and if you have a particular sound and vision in mind, you can then add it. But now you've got that guy's performance on your album. That is convenient, because I mean, nobody's got the budget to fly him out to come and do a thing, you know, whatever it happens to be. So you'll find a way around to get whatever you need. So if the pros, and it's good enough for those guys, it can be good enough for me, good enough for you, for your band.
I think a lot of people should just like quit with this ego and just start with this efficiency vibe.
Look, there's something beautiful about seeing somebody. I mean, there's something, a slight little X factor about playing a beautifully done, tuned and set up drum kit. There is something about it.
Absolutely.
But again, it's a means and accessibility thing. So there is no wrong way. There it literally is. It's like I feel like I'm in, like, you know, those Matrix things. Like, there is no wrong way. You know? Take the blue pill, take the red pill. What works, if your product comes out well and everybody's happy and your people are listening to it and you can pull it off live.
Most importantly.
That you haven't gone 300 BPM Nile stuff and then like, okay, cool, let's do this. And you get there and your drummer basically falls down dead because he can't manage it. That is what you want.
I saw that live and it blew me away. That Nile is,
it's out of this world.
That's a whole lot of nerve for me, bro. Because like, see, I'd rather be Metallica. Because like, you know, for those 1,000 kick drums he's making his cent. Lars hits a kick drum once, that's $1,000, bro. You know what I mean? So, like, you check. It's like the difference in earning is like work smarter, not harder, bro.
Fair enough. All right, well, I think this wraps up drums for us.
Well, thank you. We may or may not call on you again.
Happy to help, guys.
Well, that's what we like to hear. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
It's been great having you, gaining your insights. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Okay. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Patty, and thank you, Adrian. I need coffee. Someone feed me coffee.
Time to beat it.
To beat it. Thank you guys so much for listening. God, this just got really bad. Check us out.
Hey, it's dad jokes. I'm allowed to.
Yes. Check us out where all podcasts are available. You can check out Blended Podcasts on all social media handles. And stay tuned. We will be back at you next week with another episode. Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for listening to us ramble on about all things music and sound here on Sound Vibes, produced with the generous assistance of Blended Podcasts, brought to you by Blended Audio.